we just very well may be seeing an actual change in the front office with Artūras Karnišovas, Mark Eversley, and even Billy Donovan still walk away. If the reports by Joe Cowley are to be believed, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Plus, has Yaxel Lendeborg made himself the Bulls' best NBA draft target? We're talking about all that, plus dive into the mailbag right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, and is ownership finally reacting to the debacle that is the Chicago Bulls? That is a huge question here, and not just in regards to Billy Donovan possibly walking away or Mark Eversley being fired, but so much to say that is Artūras Karnišovas' job, is he really on the hot seat now? That is a huge question here. And it appears, if Joe Cowley is to believe, that maybe there's finally some serious change coming to the Chicago Bulls. Joe Cowley in his recent article with the Chicago Sun-Times saying this: now, ownership is weighing if the mess that has gotten too large for them to fix, and according to a source, everything is on the table in the next 10 days regarding the front office's current situation. So we could be seeing within the next 10 days, keep in mind the Chicago Bulls season is over in 7 days. Our last game is on the 11th, right? So, or on the 12th. So 7 days is when the season ends from today. If you go 10 days from that, that means that 3 days after the season ends, that's probably around the time where the Chicago Bulls would have been having their season-ending press conference. We can be getting announcements of a whole entire new front office to change the direction with this team. Of course, we've all already heard the rumors around Billy Donovan and his interest there, and reportedly that interest from Billy Donovan maybe being there for the last 20 years or something like that, even before he came to the NBA. But it is starting to feel like it's different. And no, it's not just the Jaden Ivey situation. I think the Jaden Ivey situation did put new eyes on the Bulls, right? Because now the national media is their eyes are kind of on the Bulls. But I think overall, too, is like you've now gone through your third roster reset. Like, I think that we need to be clear here. This is the third roster reset. Front offices usually don't get that. It was the initial reset after AK came and took over the team from that Garpax built team when they traded all those players and got Nikola Vucevic. And then that was further gone when they signed Lonzo and Caruso and DeMar and Zach. So I look at that as all this kind of one roster change, right? And then the next roster change came after trading Zach LaVine, Caruso, and DeMar DeRozan all in one offseason. And that was a change for that season, from that offseason to that trade deadline. And now this year, another reset with moving Kobe, moving Ayo, moving Nikola Vucevic, gearing towards the draft and prioritizing your draft position, right? All those things are there. And I think when you also look at the fact that the Bulls ownership reportedly loves Billy Donovan, and if Billy has come to them and said, listen, I'm going to take the UNC job one way or another, but I was thinking about stepping away from this team, even if the UNC job did not pop up, mainly because of my discontent with Artūras Karnišovas. Not even necessarily saying it's me or him, but just Billy Donovan. If that was the decision that he made, and maybe that had ownership for a coach that they respect, ownership looked at this and said, damn, man, what's going on over here? So let's see. Now, I have my doubts over this, and not because just it's a Joe Cowley article, but just it's more my doubt around the Chicago Bulls front ownership as a whole, right? But we've seen it before. We had David Hall on the Score where he talked about ownership weighing the changes at the highest level. We also had David Kaplan talk about that they were talking about changes within the ownership group. So it seems like it may be finally coming to a time where we could see some serious changes here. And not to say that all change means it's going to be good, right? We'll see what the Bulls can do. And maybe in the next few episodes, I'll actually talk about like front office options for the Chicago Bulls and stuff like that. Bob Meyers was mentioned as somebody that the Bulls could pivot to. We've also heard that the Dallas Mavericks, also with them having Cooper Flagg, are looking to, probably also go after Bob Meyers as well. But, Bob Meyers is somebody who has a proven track record. And while I don't think you always have to go after a name to get the right guy, for Bulls fans that have no faith in the front office, getting somebody who built a championship team like Bob Meyers did with the Warriors, even though there were some bumps in the road along the way, maybe that goes a long way in helping fans have more faith in this front office. So could we actually be going into an offseason where AK and Eversley could be gone? I think that there's a possibility that we could be talking about Mark Eversley, Artūras Karnišovas, Billy Donovan, all gone from the Chicago Bulls, and us having a chance. Now, there are some people that are saying this, right? Like, why allow AK to do the trade deadline that he did if, he was already on the hot seat? And I think the trade deadline helped make that seat hot. But I think even with that said, I think that a new GM, a new president of basketball operations, and a new coach, if you get those guys hired quick enough, right, which the NBA, the draft lottery is at the end of the month, right, or a month away from the end of the season. So, but you still have some runway even between the draft lottery and the draft. But you want to get your head coach, you want to get your GM, you want to get your president, and you want all those guys to be of similar mindsets so they can go out and attack it. But they'll have the most cap space in the league. They'd have a top 10 pick, maybe even 2 picks in the top 20, depending on if they get the Portland pick, who Portland's won 3 in a row. And then they have complete roster flexibility, because the only pieces that you're looking at that are parts of the future going forward are Josh Giddey and Modest Buzelis. And Josh is on a really reasonable 3 years left after the season contract. Modest Buzelis has to be extended in 2 more seasons, right? So you have 2 more years of him on his rookie scale deal. You have Noah Essengay, who you're still hoping you get something to turn into. And you have your first round pick of this year. Those 4 potential building blocks that most GMs don't start off with that. You have 4 potential building blocks here. And then you have veterans that can, help support them in Jalen Smith, Trey Jones. You can even re-sign Colin Sexton and have yourself a solid bench. Or you can trade Jalen Smith and Trey Jones as their vets on really reasonable contracts if the new GM comes in and says, hey, you know what? No, we're actually going to do this a little bit more organically over a little bit more time and maximize our draft position even over more years than maybe what AK and Eversley were willing to do. So you have all that could be going in there. On top of a coaching search that could happen as well, all this just leads to a situation in which I think that we have maybe finally reached the moment that the reset, the real reset, not a roster reset where you got the same people coming there, it happened. Now, I have some hesitation in believing it just because I need to see it. It'd be something so different than what ownership has done before to fire president of basketball operations only 6 years into their tenure. We haven't seen that a lot. But sometimes you need to have, like, I like to always go to the Chicago Bears with things, right? Because I think they're a good example of a organization realizing how they needed to get out their own way. The Bears had never been an organization that fired a head coach in the middle of the season. They did that, right? For a long time, the McCaskies were very hands-on. They basically let Ryan Poles cook. They never paid a head coach. They never really wanted to pay for that. They made Ben Johnson instantly one of the highest paid coaches in the NFL, and we have one of the highest paid staffs in the NFL, something the Bears have never done before either. All those things were things that the Bears had to realize we got to do stuff different for us to really get on the right track and get off the path that we've been on for so many years. Are the Bulls really finally ready to get off the path that they've been on for the majority of 25, 30 years? Are they ready to really get off that path and do something differently? Do something different than the way that they've done it before so they can get different results? Are they finally ready to ask that? That's a question that we have to ask. And we'll see if if the Bulls are willing to do that. If they are, listen, I'm not somebody who likes to give ownership too much credit. But if ownership comes in and they not only see the problem, remove the problem, and then decide to actually be aggressive about going out there and getting a Bob Myers or Chris Quinn or Sam Cassell or whatever else to really revamp this team and get some names in here, that'll be something completely different than what they've done. One of the things I said over in the Discord is that typically you see you see the Reinsdorf hire from within the family, right? Jerry Krause was here, Floyd, John Paxson, right? Gar Forman was even somebody that was here much before he became the GM, right? You don't usually see the front office roles go to outside sources. It was the first time in a long time they did that when they went to AK, which I guess I could say they try to do something different. My concern is that if they do fire and remove AK, they'll learn the wrong lesson from this and think, see what happens when we go outside the family, and the next thing we know, freaking Doug Collins is the new president of the team, like something like that. Now, that's a bit of a overbearing concern for me, but it is one that I worry about with this Bulls team. But we'll see. Is a true reset coming for this team? Let's hope so. Let's see. And let's hope that reset actually gets us new results instead of the same results we've seen far too long for the Chicago Bulls team. But let me know what you guys think on that down below. Is this finally the moment that something changes for this Chicago Bulls team, or is it going to be more of the same this offseason? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. With that said, let's move into the second segment for today. I want to talk about Yaxel Lindenberg, right? the Final Four run dominance that he's had. You guys know, I've said before, I don't think the Bulls should necessarily take him where you have some guys with some higher ceilings. We do have a voicemail from this on Reggie too, but I'll say this, I can't even deny the presence that Yaxel Lindenberg has had, right? And when you look at players that may be ready to contribute right now, I'll say this. If the Bulls are more 10-11, if they move down, you have to take Yaxel. I think that that's where I'm at now. I still have my questions about number 9 because I still think there are players with well higher ceilings and still have high floors. We'll get into that more when we talk about Reggie. But when you look at it, Big Ten Player of the Year, consensus first-team All-American, right? Yes, he's 24 years old, and there's some questions there. But listen, the versatility that he brings there is ridiculous, right? He averaged 15 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.2 steals, 1.3 blocks, shot 52% from the field, 37% from 3 on 4.5 attempts per game. Not the huge percentage where you're only seeing, maybe like 2 attempts per game, and he's an 81% free throw shooter. Yaxel Lindenberg may have just made himself one of the possible steals of this draft, and we'll see. He is the prototypical modern-day 4. He's 6'9", 7-foot wingspan. And I do think looking at this, a lot that I've talked about, and I got to hold myself accountable, is how good the Bulls have been with Jalen Smith and Miles Buzelis on the court together. That would be even better with Yaxel and Miles Buzelis, as Yaxel was a much better defender, on-ball defender than Jalen Smith has been, right? And so you look at this, like if the Bulls, and if AK is still running the team, and I have told you guys before, I don't think AK is going to commit to a multi-year tank. You get Yaxel in here, he's somebody who's ready to contribute right now. Very high floor, you can't deny that. His work on the fast break is great. He can be as a 4 to 1-man fast break. You pair that with Modest and Josh Giddey and Trey Jones, even with him handling the ball some. Listen, Yaxel has made himself, I think, a player that you have to truly consider, even if this is there at 9. It may be looked at as a reach, but it could end up still being the right pick. Now, there are tons of guards that have tons of, I still love Braden Burries for this team at number 9, but Yaxel has started to make himself, and I don't think he makes it past the Thunder at 12. I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. I don't think he makes it past the Thunder at pick 12 at all. I just don't see it. But the only knocks on Yaxel really are his draft age and rebounding. He's not the greatest rebounder, right? And so you have to worry then about how good is the center that you're going to get and how good of a rebounder they are. He's not a great rebounder. His rebounding percentage isn't great. The number is solid at 7 rebounds per game, basically, but the rebound percentage, it leaves a lot to be desired. But other than the age and other than rebounds, that's really the only thing you can knock Yaxel floor. His offensive box plus minus, his three-point shooting, his efficiency shooting, even his defensive box plus minus, the win shares, the wingspan ratio that he has, the effective field goal shooting percentage, the steals, the blocks, everything points to Yaxel being an absolute steal in this draft. The question is, do the Bulls, are they willing to take him? And that's something that we shall see if they're willing to do, and we'll see how it ends up working out. With that said, let me know what you guys think on Yaxel. Like I said, we got a voicemail on the 2 with Reggie, but let's get into these voicemails. This first one that we got today, this one's from Jay, who's a first-time caller, by the way.
Oh, Haize, Chicago, what's up? It's Jay. This is my first time calling in. I've been listening to you for a while, man, and I got a little bit to say, bro. One, I'm looking at this whole AK Billy Donovan thing, unhappy, as like a blessing in disguise. Let's just let it run its course and pay it no mind, because either way, Billy Donovan hasn't been an all-star coach since he left college, and that might be like his rightful place. And AK really don't represent Chicago. Like, they don't go after Chicago players. They drafted Ayo, they drafted Buzelis, but those is like obvious, you know what I'm saying? But they don't trade the way Chicago should trade. I'm tired of getting fleeced. You know how to trades. I think that's where we disagree, like, on the whole Caruso and Giddey trades, because, like, Giddey was at his highest stock, came off a championship already, well-known, renowned around the league as a player who impacts winning. And Josh Giddey was at the lowest of his stock, and it's not an even trade. We got fleeced. Then we gave up another good player to Milwaukee. I don't know. It's like we keep getting the short end of the stick on all these players and all these trades. And AK just don't make quality trades that just benefit Chicago in the long run. How we don't get that one pick from a place that has a plethora of picks? Don't make no sense. And they don't really represent Chicago. Like Derrick Rose Michael Jordan. I mean, even Kobe Bryant wanted to come to Chicago because he knew what it represented. We need dogs in the house. And I feel like the league just like uses us. They manipulate us. So that's where I want everything to like run its course. Like everything just go back, clear house if we need to. If we keep AK, cool, but you got to understand, we got to build through the draft. And you want to say you don't want to be in the middle of the pack, stop staying in the middle of the pack. Like, you don't want to be in the middle, but we keep staying in the middle every single year. It don't matter what regime we go with. It doesn't matter how many players we got. It doesn't matter because we keep the same coach. So the players are changing, but the coach is the same. And everything else is the same. Nothing's really, like, changing except for the players. But we stand in the middle. So I'm all for, like, I think we're going to get, like, a top 4 pick. I'm rooting for Portland to win tonight. And I'm rooting for Chicago to lose out on the winning schedule.
Shout out to Jay, first time caller. I don't think that you could call the Bulls getting fleeced in the Josh Giddey thing. I know you said that, Josh Giddey was at his lowest value, Caruso was at his highest value. You got to keep in mind, Caruso was also an expiring contract, who they had no guarantee was going to stay on, and who had injuries every year of his career, right? He wasn't just coming off a championship team. That's when we signed him, was when he came off a championship team. And the Bulls still got everything that they could have hoped Josh Giddey to turn into. Josh Giddey's been that, and he's improved parts of his game. He's become a better defender, a better three-point shooter. So I can't say that they got fleeced in that move. Now, I know that people say they should have got a first-round pick, but the analogy I always use for that is, how many billionaires do you think you can just walk up and say, give me $100K? You don't usually stay rich by just giving things away. That's part of why they've been a smart front office. They don't just give things away. So I think you got to look at it in that sense, but I'm not going to act like the Bulls haven't got fleeced in trades before. They have, right? And I think so that's what it comes down to. Now, I'll say this. If we get a top 4 pick, it helps a whole lot as far as getting the level of talent that we need here to really change the direction of the Bulls. And we just got to see if the Bulls are going to be able to do that, Jay. But great voicemail. Hopefully I hear from you a little bit more, bro. Let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Jerry.
Hi, Haize. How you doing? This is Southern Illinois Jerry, and I just thought I'd make a real quick, short statement here. I'd like to see Lachlan Ulbrich. I'd like to see the last 7 games of the year. I'd like to see give him 20 minutes, 25 minutes a game. See what he's got. The little bit I've seen of him, he don't seem too bad. But see if they think they're interested in keeping him again next year. That's the only thing I really got to say. Thanks for your time. Bye.
I love Jerry's voicemails because he's succinct, to the point, and doesn't take a lot of time. I'll say this. I agree. With no Jalen Smith, no Nick Richards a lot of times, Lachlan Ulbrich should be playing more. This is the opportunity that we should have to just see him. We're tanking anyway. We're losing anyway. If he loses, he loses. We've got 5 games left. Go in there and play him 25, 28 minutes per game. See what you got in him. Allow him to kind of get a grasp of the actual NBA game, and then let's see where it goes. I don't think that should be a problem for Lachlan Ulbrich. You want to see what you have in him, especially before you go into offseason, because what if Lachlan does show you some things where you think, maybe Lachlan could be our backup center, and then you don't have to keep Nick Richards. You don't have to keep Jalen Smith. I mean, not Jalen Smith. You don't have to keep Zach Collins, and then you can kind of go forward and put all your money into finding your starting center. Maybe. I'm not saying that will be likely, but it is a question there and a legitimate one. Great voicemail there, Jerry. Let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Sean.
What up, Haize? Sean calling. First things first, to the gentleman, I believe his name is Corn, that you played his voicemail in yesterday's pod. Brother, if you ever need anything, Haize can give you my info. You can reach out. I don't know you, man, but it sounds like you're hurting, and if you need someone to talk to, no judgment. I'm here to talk to you. But now to get to my basketball take, I think Modest is not being talked about enough in mainstream media, and that comes down to the Bulls just not being good enough. Modest's last few games have been great. Not the most recent one against San Antonio, but San Antonio is a different animal. They got Wemby. He's an alien, but I think the Bulls got a good one in Modest, and I feel like I've been saying that for a while. But you guys could just get the right player to fit alongside Josh Giddey and Modest Buzelis. We can hopefully have a better season next season. Anyways, let me know what you think. Have a good one. everybody check on your friends, your loved ones, and just make sure they're doing okay.
Modest is going to have bad games. I've seen some crazy takes where people are like, I know Modest isn't going to be much of an NBA player because of that one game against the Pacers. Like, even superstars have bad games. So, and Modest is a young player still finding his way, and he even admitted, like, there are times where Modest absolutely gets in his head some. But I do believe, I'm with you, that Modest is going to be a piece. The question is how good can he be, right? Is he just a solid starter? Is he an above average starter? Does he reach the point of being a near star? Like, those are the questions that you have there. And that's what it's up to Modest to answer with how he develops, how he works, that type of thing. But Modest is an NBA starter. The question is, how good of a starter can he be? And that's the question that we're hoping to answer here as it goes on for Modest and with the Chicago Bulls. Let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Shay.
What's up, Haize? I got a question for you and all the other Bulls fans out there. No, it's not going to be, do you trust anybody? No, it's not going to be, do you trust AK? Because I know the answer to that. But I'm here to tell y'all something. Don't expect anything different from next year. Yeah, we may make a little noise, make some noise in free agency. Yeah, we may get a draft pick here or there, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. And yeah, Billy Donovan may go or AK may go, but I'm here to tell you, don't expect nothing different because we probably going to be in the same spot that we were in this year, or still be in the same spot that we tried to get out from when we traded Ayo DeSumo and Kobe White. Because if we do get a new coach or front office, they're going to have to rebuild this back over again. And I don't think that, you may see Josh Giddey and Modest Buzelis, hell, even Noah Senge improve, and maybe some of our rookies that we might draft improve. But we're going to have a new team. And if we do get a new coach, we're going to have to implement a new system. And I can see us probably winning less than 30 games next season because all the pieces are going to be so new. So, again, everybody's getting excited talking about I can't wait for this season to be over. Hey, look, I don't see no hope in it for next year because whether AK stays or whether AK goes, it's going to be the same bullshit. Whether Billy Donovan stays or whether Billy Donovan goes, that's what I'm going to tell you, it's going to be the same bullshit. So for all y'all that saying you can't wait for next year, this and that, man, it ain't going to give you any type of hope. Again, I could be wrong, but that's how I'm seeing it right now because logically, from a logical perspective, this team's going to be too new next year, and if Billy Donovan leaves, it's going to be even newer, and as well as AK. Anyway, tell what you think. Peace.
I don't know. I can see the team being better next year. You got to look at it. Josh Giddey, a win now piece. Modest Buzelis, ready to contribute, still developing too, right? Depending on where your pick falls this year. And then you already have the makings of a solid bench. Trey Jones, Isaac Okoro, Colin Sexton, maybe Jalen Smith's on that bench based off what you do and what you draft. You have the makings of that. So I could see a world in which the Bulls are right back trying to compete in the Eastern Conference for sure. I could also see a world in which they are still very bad next season. We'll see. I like I said, I don't have the faith of AK to commit to it. And I think also you have to factor in the Bulls are trying to make 2 big swings in restricted free agency. We've heard that they're going to make offer sheet in a combination of Walker Kessler, Mark Williams, Ben Mather, and Peyton Watson. Like, if they make offer sheets and get 1 or 2 of those guys, then, yeah, you're definitely trying to compete next year. We just got to see if you're going to be able to do it, right? So we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's get into this last voicemail, man. This one's from Reggie.
Hey, this is Reginald calling in. Just calling in after another big win by Michigan. Like I said earlier, if the Bulls get the pick at number 9 or 10, I'm getting Yaxel Lindenberg. Once again, perfect fit to run with Giddey, all around good player, starter by year 2. That's who you want. And if the Bulls get the number 15 pick, I probably want them to trade down to the number 20 to pick up, I think the Spurs have the number 34 pick. I'd probably get that one because the player I want them to draft up there is a shooting guard, and it could be Cameron Carr or Malik Thomas, who are still going to be available at 20. They're both catch and shooting guards. Both at about 6'5", 185, 190 pounds. I think that even though they're not, defensive players, that's partially because of the system that they're in, where they're to, just go out there and, score as many shots as you can and just try to beat your opponents with pure offense, like what the Razorbacks try to do, but in the NFL. But if I'm a head coach, I'm not asking them to, try to be an assist guy. Like, if you get the ball in your hands, put it in the basket. Play good defense. Take your shot if you get it. No hesitation. If the Bulls do move back and pick up an extra second round pick, they'll have 3 second rounders. And that, in the scenario, I get a small forward, a center, and a point guard. All are going to be at least juniors. All might be able to contribute and not just spend the whole year in G League. If AK is still the GM, unfortunately, if he is, they'll try to go after international players or freshmen who, once again, have high ceilings with low floors, really low floors. And I'm tired of seeing that. Hopefully AK gets fired. If the Bulls do bring in, let's say, like y'all said earlier, Jason Kidd, who knows? Maybe they bring in Jason Kidd as a GM and then ask, Seb Vassell to be the head coach. But what do you think about Penny Hardaway as a candidate for the head coach of the Bulls? Thanks.
I still have questions about Yaxel's overall star potential, right? And I think that's a fair question in that. But as a player with a high floor that you probably know what he's going to be a walking double-double. Every single year, he's going to be walking 10, well, maybe not double-double. He'll probably be walking 12 and 8 guy, 12 and 7, 12 and 8 rebounds with a block and a steal per game. And there's something to be said about that. Now, he has a chance to be even more than that. I just think there are some guys with some better star potential that still have high enough floors, like a Keaton Wagler. I think Braden Berries has an extremely high floor while still having a high ceiling. He's like the perfect combination in that 9-10 range of high floor and high ceiling, because I just don't see, with how much of a two-way player he is, him completely busting out. I think that, at the end of the day, he has star level potential, but also a really high floor to just be a damn good two-way solid guard for you, which is valuable in the NBA. So, we'll see with that one. As far as your question, as far as Penny, I think I read something that Penny Hardaway has no plans of going to the NBA anytime soon. Not that I would hate him if they sign him, but I still prefer guys like Chris Quinn and Sam Cassell, like kind of those level guys for sure first. But I guess we'll see what happens this offseason, especially now with all the talk that the Bulls can make some serious changes. Let's see what happens. But that's going to do it for today's episode, y'all. Man, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all the guys that called and left voicemails as well. But this is a major moment for the Chicago Bulls. Change could finally be coming, and we could see that a front office finally not only crumbled under the pressure, but ownership finally decided to step in under the pressure and what's going on. So I want to throw this question to you guys. Do you want the Bulls to completely clean house this summer? Then also, who do you want to see be the cornerstone of this franchise moving forward? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel as well, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Make sure you guys are following us at Bull Central Pod on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like we like to end every episode on, stay safe, go Bulls, and always see red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.